Welcome in, everybody. We have another Underwater Shenanigans game review for you here today. As you can see from the title, this one is on the newer released Mafia, the Old Country. If you watched our previous game review for First Berserker, sort of the formula that we have is one of us will either play the game and one of us will host. If it's a big enough game and we both wanted to play it, then we'd switch that around a little bit. But in this instance, I was the one that played this game here for this review. So Crab or Lance will kind of go through, ask me some questions about this game, kind of how it felt. And then at the very end, we'll give it the total score. So if you're someone that just wants to pop on in, see a score and move on, we have chapters listed in the screen below. So go and check that out. If you want a little bit more detailed review, or if there's a specific category or section you want to check out, feel free to do that as well. So I guess that with that in mind, Crab, let's get this deal.
All right, Squiddy. How are we doing this morning?
Damn it, I'm feeling good.
Well, good.
Got a
That's
good
what
night.
I like to hear.
Got a good night's sleep. Got myself a Smelsius. Ready to rock.
All right. So, as everybody can see, we will be reviewing Mafia, the Old Country today. Now, Squiddy, you were the one that played this game. How'd you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you have fun with it?
Overall, it was what I expected from a Mafia game. I'd played some of the definitive edition. If you're people that have played that as well, this went back to the roots of what I expected a Mafia game to be. So I mean, and kind of my score will reflect that, but at the end of the day, yeah, there's you're doing a review. You're going to give. I feel like I got to give a few. Adjust the score accordingly for a few things that I saw, but overall, I felt like it was well worth my time.
Well, good. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about the game? Who was it developed by, when it came out, and what you can play it on?
Yeah, so as we said, this is Mafia, the Old Country. The developer's Hangar 13, and developed by 2K. I think it's Hangar 13 Studio, and it came out August 8th, 2025. We're recording this here on the 16th, so a little over a week ago that it's been out, and you can play it on Xbox X and S, PC, and the PS5.
Nice. So nice rounded consoles that you can play it on. Now, well, how did the gameplay, the overall gameplay feel? When you started and when you finished, like, did it bring you in right away? And did you feel like the game was finished when it ended, or did you feel like you wanted to do more?
Overall, like I said, the gameplay feel more or less was what I expected. It was a story-driven action-adventure game, which in their previous Mafia series games, for anyone familiar, 1 and 2 was made in that formula. They kind of went off on their own tangent on 3, but that's neither here nor there. So, I mean, overall, the gameplay feel was comfortable. It's what I was hoping for, and because of that, I really enjoyed it. It was a very linear experience that went over the course of like 3 years, from like 1904 to a 1907 type vibe. So very kind of early on days, which again was sort of what we expected, which was nice. I didn't really want to see anything that was way off base. So that was good for that part of it. And more or less it had some mechanics that I was expecting and that I wasn't expecting. But more or less in a good way. I overall enjoyed the game. There wasn't a whole lot of twists from like, oh, I didn't expect this type of mechanic. There's things from, and we'll touch on it here in a little bit, but overall, like driving and fighting and stuff like that that you would expect in a Mafia game was well done, and I enjoyed that experience.
Oh, good. Um, let's touch on difficulty. How many difficulty levels were there?
Yeah, so there was a total of 3, which is to be, it's fairly common. I It's one of those where I put it on medium just to get that, that recommended setting, and I
Mm-hmm.
left it. And the feel of it for that difficulty was what I would hope it to be in a linear fashion type game where, yeah, there might, in a gunfight, you might get hit a little bit here or there, but there's enough bandages around that you can heal yourself. So you might, I don't know if I ever died from one of those fights. Um I might have had an instance where in a race I went off track or whatever and I had to restart. But like for a linear fashion game, I want it to, in a sense, be kind of easy, but not too easy. Yeah, I mean, overall, the difficulty was what I had expected it to be.
um, with this being this game's only like what, couple weeks old right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
With that being said, were there any glitches or something that hindered you back with it being such a new game?
I played this on PC, so I don't know what it's like on consoles. So for anyone that has a console, Xbox or PlayStation 5, you might want to take that into consideration. With the PC, you have the ability to go in and change different settings, like high, low, epic in some instances. The one issue that I sort of continually ran into was just frame rate drops, which I feel like from a overall just improvement standpoint, you get a month or 2 down the road, and I would like to hope that through some regular updates, those would get patched and fixed.
Mhm.
But from a game that's a story narrative driven type game, and in its totality, it's not one of the longer games that I've ever played. When it's trying to wow the player with good graphics and visuals, and you just get these weird like frame rate things where it'll turn the head of the character and like the screen kind of lags behind that part.
Okay.
It's not like whenever I was, and that was usually during like cutscenes. When I was playing the game, I never really had any of those issues, but again, trying to mess around for a review, I was messing with some of those settings to try and see if I could get rid of that. And I think towards the end, I believe I did. I had to change the textures, so like hair and stuff. I had to bump
Oh,
that down a little bit. Um, which was kind of a shame because I really, really, really liked the graphics. Like I thought it was stunning. It's just it kind of damp took the score for me a little bit further down just due to having to mess with some of those and so that
didn't get the
was
full experience like you wanted to.
yeah, like somewhere down the line I would really like the ability to come back and play this game again, try and get 100% on it. And if I was to ever load it back up again, I would hope that those issues are resolved.
You know, let's touch on the story a little bit. Um, with the game being set in that era, did you feel like you were in the 1900s?
Yeah, I did. Uh what's really cool about these types of games, and they don't have it in this one, but in the original Mafia game, and I'm kind of a sucker for realism type
No,
features.
same.
And what I thought was neat in that game, I know I'm going a little off tangent, but if you were speeding and a cop saw you, they would pull you over. It
Oh,
was like
nice.
I thought that was kind of neat. They didn't have that in this, but what they did have was the really old type vehicles where you had to crank the engines. They had the
No kidding.
yeah, it and so you're driving around in like early 1900s. I'll say like a Ferrari type, like a high end, really classy, cool type car, and then you had some of your more like older trucks that are
Your
kind of
Model Ts.
yeah, that are just slower. And they do and that's a feature that I've really enjoyed was the driving because it even though it's a story type game, there's some slight like open world elements to it. Like you can drive from place to place. And it does have a feature that you can skip the drive if you want to, but to try and
Hmm.
take in, some of the
Views.
views and just some of what you may miss from a story perspective when characters are in the car with you chatting. Like I wanted to drive and hear what they had to say.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it for me it definitely pulled off that early 1900s vibe.
Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome. You make me want to go and play it right now.
I'm if yeah, it like I said, it's what I expected. So that's
Hmm.
which is good.
Your character. What was the name of your character that you had to play?
It's Enzo Favera, like Favera, something to that effect.
Okay.
And he try to obviously not hit any spoilers in case anyone wants to pick this up and play it, but essentially you kind of start at the bottom of the barrel. You're this
You're the
kid.
low man on the totem pole.
Well, you start out and you're not even like in the mafia, and
Okay.
things happen to where you end up becoming part of the family, but you really have to work your way up from like shoveling pig shit to, you know, delivering wine, couple of mindless tasks. What I thought the game did really well in though was that they threw those elements in, but it didn't feel like you were doing any one of those sections for too long. Like it was just enough to get some background on who the characters were, where they came from, and the whole package from a character perspective felt correct.
Oh, good.
Um, the only part that I will say that I think if they could expand on anything, it'd be some of the quote unquote villains or bad guys. They they just did. I mean, it's one of those that they say, "Oh, this guy's a bad guy," but like, why? Like I kind of know why a little bit. They kind of frame it as such that you just don't like the guy from the very onset of the game, and some things happen, but he wasn't really there to do anything about it, essentially. So that's like the one area that I would, if they were to do or change anything about it, that you'd like to maybe get a little bit more background on. But the main character, somebody I really enjoyed his story, and I don't want to get in too much of the details, but I wish it would have turned out a little bit differently. We'll say
Yeah.
that.
Now for my favorite part of any game like that, your graphics. I know you touched on during the like cutscenes, the graphics could have been a little better,
Hmm.
but during the gameplay, how well were the graphics made? Was it very was it realistic almost?
Quite frankly, in when it worked, as intended. I thought it was kind of spectacular. Like the lighting was great, the shadows were great. Backdrop of the Sicily area was neat. I don't know if I've played a lot of games in that with that type of area, I guess, if that's the
Mm-hmm.
right way to put it. So like from old dirty mines to having a big volcano in the backdrop to just the vineyards and wine and stuff like that. I mean, and the rolling hills and yeah, like overall for a 2025 game, it it looked really good.
They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, when it worked, like
Mm-hmm.
when I was able to get the game to do what it was supposed to do, it was like, wow, this is a really pretty game. However, with again some of those frame rate issues that I had to adjust some of those down a bit. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't maybe get the full experience that I would have hoped for. But overall, being a story game, you kind of need to have something to kind of also help it along. And I thought the visuals in that aspect did very well.
Absolutely. Game price. I see that this game's around $50-$60 game price. Good price. Did you feel justified in paying for that price after you played it?
Yeah, so there's two editions as of again August 16th, 2025 that they have out right now. There's the base game that's right around $50, like $49.99, and then they have the deluxe edition which is $60. I don't know what all comes with that. I would assume like different skins,
Get a few different suits,
different
probably.
different outfits, different cars probably.
Yeah.
Uh But I ended up getting the base edition and I pre-ordered it, so I think it came with a couple extra like pre-order type things, different cars and whatever. I got if you're familiar with the Mafia series, the taxi that I'm blanking on the guy's name. But you get to drive around the old taxi in the original Mafia game, so I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a price perspective, all in all said and done, I believe I had 13 hours for the main story, which is a little short. But I didn't spend a lot of time looking for things. Like there's a quite a few different collectibles that you can grab.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Beads for like your rosary that give you certain perks and things of that nature.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
different different collectibles eh, that you can go out of your way to grab. That I didn't. I just kind of wanted to have the main story as linear as possible. So
Mm-hmm.
13 hours is a little short, but for a $50 price point being a little cheaper than a full price game, that kind of helps with my value consideration a little bit. Granted, knowing that it was only about 13, 15 hours probably for most people, I'd like to see it maybe a little closer to $45. Um, but because I really enjoyed it and because I would probably play it again at some point, you get that replayability aspect. So we'll say maybe 26 hours, 30 hours, all said and done if you play it twice for $50. I mean, I feel like that's justifiable. Still might be a little high, but all said and done, I think I think it was okay. Like I really liked the game. I really enjoyed it. I'm happy I paid the price for it. Just it does I do, like with any of us, you play a game that you really enjoy and you get to the end and you wish there was more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And with this only being 13 hours, I'm like, I wish it would have been at least a 20-hour experience, but
Well,
it is what it is.
Was there a lot of side missions that you could have done to make it last a little bit longer, or not really?
No, like I said, it was no side quests. It was mostly just main story.
Ow.
So anything that you would do to make the game a little longer would be
Go find those collectibles.
driving around, getting those
Yeah.
collectibles, taking in the
Taking
countryside.
in the views.
Yeah, they have a photo mode that you can mess around with,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
but I didn't. But it's like the old style cameras, take some pictures, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I mean, there is that there, and I do feel like there's a replayability aspect to this score that I gave it. That's why I made it a little bit maybe more favorable, because I do think it is at its core, it is a good game. It's just, when you're talking only a story mode, no no online stuff, no side quests, and it only takes 13-ish hours. It's like, that is a little short.
Touched on some good points, and I guess we better get to everybody's favorite part.
The score.
The score.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I gave this an 8.5 out of 10. Um, I was kind of going either way between an 8 and an 8.5. Reason I did give it an 8.5 though is, yeah, it is a little bit shorter. And I'll talk through that here in a second. But for what it was, when I beat the game, I was like, I really enjoyed it. And so
Oh, good.
my score kind of reflects that. So gameplay feel, I gave it a 1.75 out of 2. Reason I bumped it down was because of some of those frame rate issues. Otherwise, I enjoyed most aspects of this game. Game mechanics and controls, for what it did, I thought it did really well. I loved the driving. The There was parts that you can fight with knives, and there's different knives that you can use that have different abilities, from like a throwing knife to more of a fighting knife that you're a little bit slower with. You can use the knife to pick certain things and whatever. That part I enjoyed, but again, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. It was, if the game was longer, I think it would have got repetitive. Let's put it that
Mhm.
way. Um,
Not much more they could have touched on with the story.
right. With only being about a 13, 15-hour game, it was what it was. But I will say, when you're walking around and you're fighting, and like in gun battles, it felt really
Mm.
good, really clean. Especially when you hit somebody in the head, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know. I just left feeling like I wish they would have done a little bit more. And that's sort of why I gave it a 1.5 out of 2. That, and because the stealth aspect, there were a lot of parts where they want you to go in and be sneaky and not be seen.
Mhm.
And when it's one of those that they see you, but it takes a very long time for them to be like, oh, there's somebody over there. And then you can throw a bottle and distract them, and then they don't come back. So it's
Of
like,
course.
there's parts like that where it's like,
That's what that's a mechanic with a lot of games though.
it
Like
is.
they
And
could be facing you and you could be a distance out and they wouldn't do anything.
mhm. And again, for a sucker, or for somebody that is a sucker for realism, that's like one negative point I had on it. And so that's what kind of goes into it. But overall, it felt good. That's why I gave
Yep.
it a 1.5. Story development, gave it the full points. I liked where it started. I wish the end turned out a little bit different, but overall, I thought it did really well in what it was trying to do. Character development, really enjoyed that as well. This was one of the better characters that I've played with. Um, I, just, from starting where you're at to where you finish, was like, that was, I enjoyed playing with that character of Enzo. Graphics, visuals, audios, gave that a 1.5 out of 2, mainly for those frame rate issues.
Little drop frame rates. Yep.
And But otherwise, I thought everything else looked really, really gorgeous. Value considerations, I did drop it down slightly to a 1.25 out of 1.5, mostly just due to one, I wish the game was a little bit longer. And if it was, I think it would completely justify, say 20 hours would completely justify the $50 price point. Since it's not, I'd like to see it a little bit lower, 40 to 45, but it kind of is what it is for that total package of an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for any of those people that like the Mafia games that had the third one leave a bad taste in your mouth, go pick up this game and play it today.
Yeah, like if I wasn't if we weren't busy doing videos and stuff like that, I'd probably start the Mafia series up again just because of this game. But
Mm-hmm.
it was a good game. So I mean, if anyone's thinking, oh, I'm on the fence about it, maybe circle it like and wait till the price comes down a little bit more, on a sale. And
Yeah.
then I would absolutely say, yeah, this is worth what you pay. Say it's like on sale for $20 or $25. Pick it up. I think you'll really enjoy it. But yeah, let us know how you guys think about the game if you pick it up. And I hope that some of the categories that we touched on here today gave you what you were looking for. So unless you have anything else, Crab, I guess we'll let these folks go.
Yeah, well, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified when we put out more videos, more game reviews, more video gameplay. Come on back. Hope you enjoy the
Absolutely.
show.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff planned here for the rest of the year through a lot of different playthroughs and stuff like that. So hope you enjoyed and as always, we'll see you on the next one.
We will see you later.
Peace.
Peace out.